Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, no actual gameplay. It's going to be basically discussing a Pioneer tournament I played today. The exact 75 cards I played in front of me are shown here, and I will explain most of the card choices and stuff. So before we begin the round by round, I'll just say that it went well. I top forward, so I can be really reasonably confident that the deck list is fine. Um, yeah, so the deck list is very similar to what I've been playing on the channel. If you've watched any of the previous Pioneer videos, you'll probably be fairly familiar with the core. The big changes are I brought back two languishes today. They were good. I'm happy with them. I'm not going to cut them anymore. And I've been playing a second dig through time over the Into the Story online, but I didn't have a second dig in paper, so I played the Into the Story today. You may also notice I've changed the sideboard a lot compared to previous videos. I remembered that Electrickery is in the format and that Pestilent Spirit exists as a card and that combination is wonderful. So I'm trying that, and today it's been good. Although I have to say I didn't draw the two cards in combination, but Pestilent Spirit plus the other instance like Kolaghan's Command and Magma Spray has been great all day. And there were times when drawing the Electrickery would have been good, but it didn't matter that I didn't. Anyway, the other new sideboard card is Elder Spell. To replace Noxious Grasp and Pithing Needle, which were my previous Planeswalker killing cards. It's much better. It's been brilliant. Got 2-for-1s a couple times today, and it was back-breaking every time. So, yeah, without further ado, I'll get into like what happened. So, it was in Axion, who you may have heard me mention before. They're like a big UK-based tournament organiser. It was in Amersham in their store, and it was about 30 players-ish. 30 players. They do a series of tournaments called For Goodies, where you compete for nice cards, foils, things like that. And it was also a qualifier for an invitation-only WPNQ sometime in March. But it's really easy to qualify for that. They've got like 4 of them, and 20 players from each one qualify, so there'll be literally 80 slots, so it's not that hard to get to the WPNQ. Anyway, I locked one up today. Literally 20 slots for 30 players today, so it's hard not to. Anyways, this is roughly how it went round by round. So, round 1, I am paired against a player I don't know who's playing like a colourless ramp deck with Khan's artifacts, the XX artifacts like ballistas and hangerbacks. Don't think I saw any Eldrazi. It was basically like a kind of prison and planeswalkers super friends deck. It was quite strange. Um, I won 2-1. I lost game 1 basically predictably. I mulled to 4, which was upsetting because my first 3 hands had a total of 1 land between them, and I kept Fatal Push, Thoughts Erasure, and 2 lands. And Fatal Push was, with the way the game went, it wasn't quite a dead card, but it didn't do enough. And eventually, I just was overpowered by Khans and stuff. The card advantage, when you've already mulliganed, was too much for me to keep up with, and I died to, like, constructs and a bit of chip damage from other sources. One other threat they were playing was Stonecoil Serpents, I should mention, which is actually really good against me because it dodges K-Command, Drown in the Lock, Dreadbore, Bolus. The only things I have that get it are Magma Spray if it's small, and obviously Fatal Push is my best answer to it. One other change to the main deck today is I've gone up to a 3rd Magma Spray to pair with the Pestilent Spirits and cut a 3rd Fatal Push, so I've still got 5 cheap spells, but it's a different mix. And obviously that was relevant here. But no, it wasn't really costly. And then games 2 and 3, basically my sideboarding was, I'm going to try and do like a sort of half a sideboard card for each matchup as well. So my sideboard, I sided in the Pestilent Spirits, Elder Spells, Disdainful Strokes, and Electrickery, and sided out Drown in the Locks, Languishes, Ugin, and then trimmed some numbers on a few other things. And I basically just overpowered them. I got like 2-for-1s with the Elder Spell, or a 2-for-1 with the Elder Spell, I should say. I got 2 Khans with it. I got loads of value from K commands, and Yeah, Pestilent Spirit was superb. The Menace was a real thing. It let me pressure Planeswalkers really well, made them make some awful blocks. Like Menace and Death Touch is quite the combo because you get to kill both blockers, so that was great. Yeah, the two games where I didn't have to mulligan into Oblivion were actually quite comfortable. It felt like a favourable matchup once I figured out what was going on. Game 2, I was playing against Grixis Dragons in a Pseudo Mirror, which I did not expect. I won 2-0, and basically both games my opponent mulliganed to 6 and I didn't. And both games I was able to dictate. I was on the front foot with, like, first discard spell, which gives you the information. And once you've got the information, you can dictate. And I was just kind of fortunate enough to be able to get under my opponent, for lack of a better term. It felt like a slightly favourable matchup. It felt like some of the cards that are in my deck but not in his were really important, and some of the cards that are in his deck but not in mine weren't so important, if that makes sense. So I was slightly favoured, I think, and probably drew better as well, and it meant that the games weren't yeah, it was just tough for my opponent, honestly. He didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. I'll just check I haven't missed anything. Sorry, I did make some notes before doing this. So my sideboarding was, I sided in Pestilent Spirits, Mystical Disputes, Disdainful Strokes, sided out small removal for the most part, and trimmed discard, because you don't want to be drawing discard later on in that type of a matchup. When you are trading resources, you both tend to get empty hands fairly fast, and you don't want to be like drawing a Thoughtseizes on turn 6 with an empty-handed opponent. Round 3, I'm playing against Abzan Humans with like a +1/+1 counters theme as well, and I won 2-0. I won game 1 because I cast an early Thoughtseize, which let me know what was up, and then I was able to just wait as long as possible for a Languish and get like a 5-for-1, and it was just like, once you've done that, you can win with a wet towel, basically. So yeah, the Thoughtseize was really big. Game 2 was a bit grindier, but basically the matchup felt fantastic. I had way more removal than they could possibly beat. Even collected companies and stuff didn't really matter. Yeah, never really under threat, unfortunately for my opponent. And then like game 2, he sides in all his like Duress and Kambal, and I just cast my Thoughtseize under it, and then play Pestilent Spirit into Kalitas, and it's all kind of brutal. Basically, everything lined up badly for him. I sided in Kalitas, Electrickery, and Spirits, and sided out slower stuff like Into the Story, and I think 1 Bolus and 1 or 2 Jaces and stuff like that. So I just tried to speed up. Once again, playing against a creature matchup, I didn't get to do the combo. By the combo, I mean Pestilent Spirit plus Electrickery is like it makes Electrickery into a 2-mana Plague Wind that, yeah, 2-mana Plague Wind, that's it. Or a 5-mana Plague Wind if you do them in the same turn, which leaves a 3/2 with Menace and Death Touch behind, so it's great. Rounds 3 and 4, I was able to ID in, because it was only a small event, 5 rounds, and 11 points locked me, so that put me in 6th place going into the top 8. The quarterfinal, I was paired with Blue-White Control, which is generally a matchup I find good, although I did lose to it twice on the last video on this channel. Yeah, just overpowered them, beat them up. They were not able to keep up with Castle Vantress. They had them themselves, but I have Field of Ruin and they don't. Yeah, they weren't able to keep up with the discard, Nicol Bolas, plussing. It was just, everything came up my way. I'm much better at removing Planeswalkers than they are as well, so like my Planeswalkers were sticking and theirs weren't. So yeah, that was a 2-0 win, just kind of overpowering them. I sided out Languish, Fatal Push, and Magma Spray. Sided in Elder Spell, Counterspells, all 4 Counterspells, and Kalitas. One big turn was, there was a turn where the board was empty. I think I had 1 or 2 cards in hand, and so did he, but he was tapped out. and I was able to Ugin minus on a detention sphere and leave myself with 2 planeswalkers as a result. Because obviously I got back what was under the detention sphere. And that type of swing, just they couldn't come back from that. You know, going from facing 0 planeswalkers to facing 2 is a big problem if you don't have the Elder Spell. Yeah, just overpowered them, which is good because they were rude and I quite like beating rude opponents. The semi-final, I lost. Hence me saying I got top 4. I lost 2-0 against Hardened Scales. Very nice player. Been watching him a bit in the rounds where I was off because I'd ID'd in and he was playing well. And yeah, he obviously knew how to play the deck. And it just felt... Yeah, I mean, he had, and he admitted afterwards, not admitted like it's a shameful thing, but we discussed it afterwards and he agreed that he had very strong draws both games, like, that just allowed him to get under me. Like, in game 1, I cast a Languish and it didn't even raff the board because one of his creatures was already too big for it. I cast it on turn 4. Game 2, I cast 2 Kolaghan's commands. It just wasn't good enough. Don't know what else I can say really, that I drew the cards I wanted and they weren't good enough, so maybe I need to figure out the Hardened Scales matchup. Maybe I need to just test it a bit more. Maybe it is bad, maybe it isn't. I haven't gotten to play against it that much. It felt like I couldn't beat Nissa Voice of Zendikar, to be honest. That card was very good. But yeah, all in all, a really solid day. Happy with top 4. I got the full art foil Fabled Passage was the prize, which is about €65. So that's a really good 4th place prize. The other top prizes were an Expedition Flooded Strand, one of the secret lairs, the Serum Vision was one, playset of foil Monastery Mentors. Yeah, those were the rest of the top 4. So I imagine the winner probably took the Flooded Strand. Second place probably took the Secret Lair, and the other semi-finalist probably took the Monastery Mentors. But I took my prize first because there were other games were still going on and I wanted to come home. It was a long day. Yeah, so there we are. So changes going forward is I just need to pick up a second dig through time. Apart from that, I'll run it as it is for now. Deck felt really good. The only game I lost was against a very good draw from a very good deck played well. Apart from that, I was beating people quite comfortably all day. So yeah, I think this is amongst the best versions of Grixis I've ever played in this format, which is good because I'm hoping that all the work we're putting in discussing it on the channel is slowly making it better, you would think. And yeah, if you ever want to play it, then, you know, start with this list and do with it what you will. I recommend it. Thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time.